Hey everyone, Dylan here. Welcome to that night one review of Wrestlemania. I thought about doing these in like two different that's what I'm doing. I thought about doing these for one consecutive video, but I decided off the top of my head that maybe night one and night two need to be split, whatever. Two separate videos. Let's crack into those videos. Alright, it shows everyone arriving for the show, but like always, I ain't talking about that shit. And then after everybody arrives, we get the like, blah 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 presents WWE Wrestlemania Night 1. That narrator guy voice. Then after we get him, Triple H comes out and does the normal like, rah rah, welcome to Wrestlemania. This is gonna be a great show. Hoo hoo, I spit water. So just a weird Dylan note, real quick. He came out to King of Kings. I could have sworn, for the life of me, when he came out to King of Kings, it was like he's a bad guy at that point, which is weird because he doesn't have a character anymore. He's just the director of operations. I guess they used the game way too many times within a 24-hour period, so he said, you know what, let's switch it up. After that, we get some DJ guy. He's like a sponsored thing that they do, I guess. He does his little thing. Then a bunch of flag people come down. I forgot their actual name. I was in band class for a day. But it's like the flag wavers. I don't want to call them flag twirlers because that sounds wrong. But that's my new canon name for them. Anyway, they come down. There's cheerleaders in the stands. And main event, Jey Uso comes out. He ain't doing that whole like clapping thing, you know what I mean? He ain't doing none of that. He's got his vest on. It's freaking rhinestoned up. He's got well, technically this one. He got the sleeve on, and it's rhinestone saying yeet. By the way, he yeets that almost at the beginning of the match. But yeah, this is like peak Jey Uso. Like, I'm in the zone, auto zone. Not a sponsor, but could be. Where was I going with that? Weird time to transition, but I'm going to make a side note. Just to mention commentary team for tonight, which is Pat McAfee, Wade Barrett, and Michael Cole. That's right. We got 2 out of 3 of Raw's announcers, and I think Michael Cole was like SmackDown's second guy for a little bit till Corey took over, or maybe he's still their second guy. I don't know. I don't have cable. I don't watch SmackDown right now. Right, so let's kick into this match. So we got Jey Uso taking on Gunther. Gunther ends up beating the shit out of Jey throughout this whole match, just giving him chops and power bombs, and even puts the sleeper in. You thought Jey was going to tap, but Jey counters it by giving him a little bit of chops, even though his are more slaps. He ends up power bombing him, and not only that, but he puts him in a sleeper. I just smacked my mic, put that in a sleeper. But yeah, he puts him in a sleeper, and Gunther taps to that. Jey becomes the new champion. Everybody's thrilled with that outcome. I am. Don't get me wrong, this was the shortest reign, like title reign that Gunther's had, but also 200 and something days compared to 1,000, 2,000, whatever it was, and 600 plus days. I think 200 days is a good, like, what's the word I'm looking for? A good compromise prize. Yeah, Jay's out there, he's eating, everybody's happy, he goes on the announce table, and then when you go back into the ring, Brother Jimmy's there. That's right, I got 2 predictions right back to back, because he hugs him, they have a feel good moment, he walks backstage with him. I'm telling you, like Raw or something like that, Jimmy's gonna be like, hey brother, so since I believe in you and all that, you gonna believe in me and give me a main event spot since I ain't had one? No, yeeter, maybe eat. After my least favorite part of the whole entire PLE era, we get a shit ton of ads, a celebrity spot of who's who and whatnot. We go on to the next match. The next match is the Men's World Tag Team Championship, and it makes me sad that, like, I don't care about this because I love the New Day, I love the Viking Raiders, but this has had maybe a week or 2 to build, so there's not been enough time for me to care about it. Don't get me wrong, not every match has to be the next Austin Taker with Limp Bizkit My Way play for WrestleMania. But flip side, if we could just get some build up for the story, it doesn't even have to be convoluted. Like, in 2 weeks you could just be like, well, I guess they kind of have build in 2 weeks because the New Day's like, hey, we want the tag team titles. But, I don't know, it just doesn't feel personal to me, so I just didn't care because I knew the New Day would win. Which, by the way, thanks to cheating, Kofi Kingston holds down either Ivar or Eric's foot. Wait, is Eric Ivar? I think it's Ivar or Rowan. Point taken. Kofi holds one of their foots down as Xavier's pinning. The other one's knocked out and exhausted from battling. And we get a New Day win. They've held every title during their reign, with the exception of Kofi holding the OG SmackDown tag titles. And I don't think... Yeah, Xavier's got every title. But yeah, congrats to him. Another historic, I think they said 12th reign. So, freaking awesome. Mazel tov. Then after we get some more celebrity rundowns and a replay, we get the match that should have been the most anticipated match of the night. But alas, it fell short. Not because of the fighters, by the way. The fighters did their damnedest to try to make something out of this. They just weren't given that much of a booking. We got Naomi versus Jade, which, by the way, up until this point, yeah, we've had 2 matches. The WrestleMania entrances have kind of been hit or miss, which, to be fair, they are throughout this whole show. I do gotta say, though, Naomi bursting through a wall of caution tape, and her whole outfit is like themed around her caution, where that's her character right now. And Jade's little parody weather storm thing that was kind of funny, the prelude before her actual entrance. they were probably top tier entrances of this year. Or not of this year, excuse me, this year's WrestleMania. I just want to compliment the women because I feel like a lot of times I kind of like skim over women's matches. Not because they don't interest me, but because they're usually not given enough time for me to invest interest in. With that being said, this one wasn't that short, I believe. I think it was about 15 minutes, give or take, maybe longer. I don't know. Somebody got the cage match results somewhere. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, Naomi, since she had her little run as Trinity on the Indies / in TNA, her ring work has improved so freaking much. And Jade has definitely improved over this year, even though she's taken 3-4 months off. She's improved vastly, I'd like to say. So good job to both of them just for being solid in-ring workers. Unfortunately, solid in-ring work isn't enough to win Naomi the match, because Jade ends up hitting the Jaded to win the match. They call it the Jaded by Jade Cargill, and I like that. That reminds me of those perfume brands where it's like Chic Blue by Estee Lauder. Or, I don't know. I just made that up. I don't even know if that's a thing. I know Estee Lauder's company, not sponsor, but I know for some of these matches I played it kind of safe, but I just like to compliment myself every now and then. I like to say the fact that I've had a clean sweep, I'm pretty sure so far, impresses me. Even though it's 3 matches, this is usually where I start losing one. But let's see here. Got Naomi right, for losing that is. I kind of picked either team to win for the tag team championship, so that's a cop-out, but I still technically was right. And what was the first match? Help, old brain. Shucks, what was that first match? I literally just went over it. But whatever, editing don't correct me if I got that one wrong. But I'm pretty sure I'm 3-0. After some more ads and celebrity poses, which I freaking hate, we get Jacob Fatu versus, where's this thing? His name's down here. I think it's off camera, but L.A. Knight, whose game is that old shirt. Sorry, this is the only WrestleMania themed shirt I have. So in other words, like the only wrestlers that are active on this Mania. I knew Jacob was going to win. I even said it in my predictions video. I just don't have a werewolf shirt yet. But speaking of, spoiler alert, I guess, Jacob Fatu ends up winning. When he does, he ends up hitting a Super Samoan drop, aka if any move is called Super, it's off the top turnbuckle. He ends up hitting that, and then he ends up hitting his finish, which is the moonsault, but it's like jumps the second rope, jumps to the... he jumps on the... Is it the bottom to the second or the second to the top? But I forget. But anyway, he does this moonsault, and he hits it twice, and he ends up becoming our new U.S. champion. As we're wrapping up things, Haku comes out and kind of gives him like a celebratory just grab. and that's how we ended. Something to note with that is that for his entrance, Solo came out with him, so it's good that they can still kind of build on that. Alright, so after this, we get a match, which I was originally like, because it seemed predictable for, but then I became excited for it when they replaced it. Right, so originally it was El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio. But I think Rey got injured on SmackDown, whether shoot or real, I don't know. I, again, don't have cable. But anyway, Rey got injured on SmackDown. And then after Rey got injured, Rey Fenix took over for him. I forgot both their names begin with Rey. But yeah, Mysterio got injured, Fenix took over for him. During this match, Vikingo, I believe? Yeah, Vikingo was in the crowd. He is the one of the AAA champions. I'm sorry, I don't watch AAA just because of that language barrier. But anywho, this was the point where they talk about the acquisition that WWE has, which is they own the rights to AAA and their library now. I think their library at least. I mean, I don't know how deep that deal goes. So come to think of it, I don't really know. Anywho, after this match, they have a little media press conference thing just to say that AAA has merged with WWE. Which, by the way, when they have great luchadors up there, Rey Mysterio's up there, so good job at breaking kayfabe. Anyway, back to the match. So it looks like Rey Fenix is going to win this, but during some type of a sequence, El Grande Americano goes to the corner and puts like a little wedge in between his nose on that part of the mask, and it's a metal plate because he makes his mask weighted. I forget what they call it, but anyway, he starts using a bunch of head-based offense, which I don't even need to go into that. I think the facial expression gave away my whole opinion on that. Yeah, anyway, something Chris Benoit's statement later. He ends up winning the match by countering one of Rey Fenix's moves by hitting him in the head and then diving off of the top to give him a diving headbutt. And that move doesn't hit as well. Right, here's my thing. I've tried so hard to like not ridicule people because it's your life, do what you want. But at the same time, when Harley Race has warned 1,000,000,001 people when he was alive about doing it and the brain damage that it can lead to, and how the Dynamite Kid had severe brain damage, and Brian Danielson ended up having seizures due to head trauma, and something Chris Benoit. Maybe we should outlaw the diving headbutt. Call me crazy. Alright, thanks for listening to my rant on that. Anyway, HBK comes out, gives a rah-rah speech about how we had a sold-out attendance because every Wrestlemania is sold out, apparently. After that, and some even more cheap plug, we have the match of the night that I'm interested in. We get Tiffany versus Charlotte for that WWE... Is that the world? No, just the Women's Championship. During my predictions video, I said that if Tiffany wins this, that means Cody's going to win his title. I'm still semi-convinced on that, but also I believe after this match they did a good job at convincing us that they actually hated each other, and I still swear it's work. You can tell that they definitely laid some blows in. I think Tiffany ended up chipping her tooth, which I don't know if that was already a thing or what, but golly, they definitely went at each other like they wanted to kill each other. So good job making it feel real, whether it was real or not. I enjoyed it. Cynical wrestling fan in me wants to see more of that. Yeah, so Tiffany ends up winning. She ends up hitting the prettiest moonsault ever on Charlotte, gets a pinfall, and I've never been happier for an into a match because, oh my goodness, if Charlotte won that, I would be one of the many fans that would have probably been upset about that and probably had something to say today. Alright, screw all this advertisement stuff. Honestly, I'm tired of mentioning it. I probably won't mention it for night 2. Hell, I probably won't mention it going forward on any pay-per-views. Just know, if I have a gap in between a match, it's advertisement segment. Oh, hey, look at this celebrity. Oh, hey, I'm off screen. Oh, hey, we may have a third bumper. But anyway, they had advertisements, celebrity moments, and then they did the Hall of Fame inductees of 2025. They had them all come out. Triple H spit water, got all over the cameraman. That sounds weird. Anyway, after they cleaned up and plugged a shit ton of stuff, we ended up having the main event of Seth Rollins versus CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, where, oh my god, so much shit happened. So first of all, I enjoyed the story where all three competitors had something. Ignoring the promise that Paul gave to Punk, which was the main event of WrestleMania. He fulfilled that, but also the wise man ended up betraying Roman Reigns before the match even started. And then Punk ended up taking his best friend back, so that's in the story too. And then Heyman ended up owing Rollins a favor, the architect. Um, so that played in. Plus Seth and Roman's history, and then Seth and Punk's history. And then I think between the fact that Roman and Punk just created new history with themselves, that also played in. So yeah, anyway, needless to say, enough stalling. These men just beat the absolute shit out of each other until Paul Heyman ends up grabbing a chair. As he does, the crowd notices it, so they're like, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna end up doing? So he grabs the chair and hands it to Punk. And he gets in the ring, helps Punk up, and as soon as Punk goes to swing, bam, he gets low blowed. And then he hands it to Roman, makes everybody think he's going back to his tribal chief. Roman goes to hit Punk, he lays into him a couple times, and then Heyman calls out to Heyman calls out that Seth is in the same position just as Roman was when he ended up getting hit in the back. So that makes Roman upset. He goes towards him, starts to swing the chair, and then as soon as he does, bam, and a feel around. He ends up hitting him. He ends up hitting Roman right in the reins. The chief riding his tribals. I don't know. He ends up low blowing him. And that's right. A chair shot, curb stomp later. Seth Rollins ends up winning. Mr. Heyman is now in Seth's corner. I guess that's the favor. We'll have to see on Monday or maybe night 2, aka tonight, how that plays out. So as for night 1, honestly, it was kind of like a meh night. I'm not trying to be cynical because everybody's probably shitting on it, but there was a couple of matches you had to watch. Other than that, it's just like, all right, fun time. It was fun. There we go. That's a good positive twist to turn on it. So yeah, I'll just wait for night 2 later on today. Alright,